So sorry I'm late to start. I've just come up from London because we're filming a paralympic specialist script to come dancing, which is very hard work. My arms are killing. It's alright, come up here. So on the 30th of July 1992, I was born, and within 48 hours of my birth, I'd had 2 cardiac arrests, which damaged 2 different parts of my brain. So the brain damage left me with deformed feet, deformed legs, weak hips, which meant that the doctor said I'd never walk. But I have some incredible parents, and they pretty much have the mindset that if you get told you can't do something, you try incredibly hard to make sure you do that one thing. So my parents got me walking, and we had years of standing frames, wheelchairs, horrible splints and AFL boots. I had a thing called a twister, which basically was a piece of wire that kind of injected into my leg at the bottom and to my hip at the top and carried blood from the bottom to the top and twisted my leg into place. I had all sorts of terrible contraptions, but I can now actually walk small distances unaided. Mostly inside because there's things to catch onto there when I'm going to fall over and people to grab hold of. Outside it's not as easy as that. The brain damage also left me with problems with my fine motor skills. So my name's Hannah Cockroft, MBE. I'm 21 years old. I'm a wheelchair racer at the Byrone Paralympic Athletics team, and I am of course a student here at Coventry University. I guess the thing that most people ask me to start off with is how I got involved with wheelchair racing, or sport in general. I went to mainstream schools throughout my childhood. I was always the only disabled child, and you know, I was never bullied. I was always just Hannah, just the one that was a little bit different. And I think the only thing that I didn't do that my friends did was PE lessons. Because I was the only child, my teachers never had the equipment or the facilities or the knowledge to let me join in. So I was always the one who had to sit on the side during PE or do my own physio exercises. And I think, you know, any disabled child, any disabled person will tell you that physio is the most boring, stupid thing in the world, because it doesn't do anything, but there you go. Don't say that to any physios, I guess. But I hated having to do that in my PE lessons, because all my friends were out there having fun and playing football and getting to know each other, and it was like the greatest lesson. So this kind of carried on into secondary school, and at 13, I come from a really sporty background. My little brother's rugby mad. My dad coaches football and rugby. My mum and my other brother, maybe not so much anything to do with sport, but because I saw my little brother enjoying it so much, I wanted to try it and see. At 13 years old, one of my sports teachers decided that actually there's no reason why I shouldn't be involved. And even though she couldn't get me involved in school, she introduced me to the local wheelchair basketball coach outside of school. So the local wheelchair basketball coach actually lived just the next street down from me, which is complete coincidence. So I would have met him at some point. It was kind of like fate. He took me along to my first basketball session, and I absolutely loved it. You know, it was this whole team sport. I was the only girl, which was amazing at 13. And they put me in a chair, and I just played ball, and it was wicked. So I played with them for 6 years. I got to Great Britain women level, and decided I didn't like it at that point. I tried through the same club. I tried wheelchair rugby, wheelchair tennis. I was terrible at the both. I have no coordination for tennis, and rugby was just really boring. I loved smashing into people, but it's very stop-start, and I didn't like that. And then through that, I also started trying swimming, because I met people in that kind of area. And at school, they decided that there was something I could do. In the summer, I could go out on the grass, and I could park the chair in the grass, and just sling a discus as far as I could. And that was kind of the start of my athletics career. So after I did that, school realised I was kind of good at it, kind of competitive, and they sent me to a few local school competitions where there's some other disabled children competing, and I got selected to represent Yorkshire and Humberside at one of the biggest junior events Britain currently has. At the time I competed, it was called the UK School Games. It's now called the Sainsbury's School Games, and I'm an ambassador of it. And there I won a silver medal for Yorkshire and Humberside, and got my first experience of a big competition, because it basically is a mini Olympics for youngsters, and it's absolutely incredible. You live in a village, you've got an opening and closing ceremony, you have to eat the food that's in the canteen, which wasn't always brilliant. You had to get up super early and train, you had to go to bed super late because you'd done all these other things in your day. And it really, really taught you the life of an athlete, a proper athlete, and it was incredible to be involved with that. And I made some of my best friends today I made at that competition, and you know, they're slowly coming to the top with me. And you know, after that I got invited to a British Athletics Talent Day, because they spotted me there and decided actually she is quite good at that, but she could be better at other things. So at a talent day, they take talented youngsters and they basically take them into this big room and let them go wild with every different sport. And that was where I met a guy called Dr. Nicholson, and he let me have a go in my first race in wheelchair. So when I met Ian, anyone who doesn't, you know, Ian is Baroness Tanny Gray Thompson's husband. So anyone who doesn't know who Tanny is, Tanny won 11 gold medals, Paralympic gold medals. She's Baroness, so that's like equal to lady, I think, something. She's very high up, and she's counted as the best female British Paralympian. That is until I came along, and I'm going to take that away. And Ian let me have a go in one of his old chairs, and you know, at first I was a little bit hesitant. If anyone's seen a race chair, you kind of kneel on your legs in it and lean forward, and it looks a bit like a torture chamber because they're not very comfortable. They're just metal and a little box. And I remember turning to my dad and he was like, "Go give it a go," and I was like, "No chance, I'm not getting in that, I will die." But he managed to get me in, mostly by picking me up and putting me in it. But 15 years old, I tried my first wheelchair racing, and as soon as I was in that chair, I was hooked. I absolutely loved it because it gave me this whole sense of freedom that I'd never kind of had before. It had speed, which obviously I couldn't run and get speed. And in basketball chairs, you can get a little bit, but not like you could in a race chair. And just the adrenaline that goes through your body when you're sat on a start line against other kids that have never done this before. I just wanted to win them, I just wanted to beat them. So the competitive streak really started in me, and I kept in touch with Ian and Tanny after that day, and they became my coaches for the first year of my career. And I will always remember my first ever training session with Ian and Tanny, because I was invited to Tanny Gray Thompson's house, and as you can imagine, it's massive and grand and amazing. And inside she uses really important trophies as like doorstops. She had a Paralympic bronze medal as a coaster. I was like, what is this? What are you doing? You should have it on your mantelpiece and be really proud of everything you've done. But I guess when you have as many kind of trophies and awards as Tanny had, she just wasn't bothered. She just, the important ones are all locked away in glass cases and incredible to look at. Just really, really enjoyed it. So Ian and Tanny encouraged me to get my own race chair, which at around £3,000 for a starter's chair is not something that my parents could just go out and buy. You know, it's not money that people have just got in their pockets. So my entire community in Halifax all pulled together, and my dad ran Jane Tomlinson Lee's 10K with about 10 other people, and one of them dressed as a sumo wrestler. So that raised the majority of the money. And then they were having bake sales at the local school. There was a lady who goes around and gives talks about kind of the weight stalls weights, which is where I live. She donated all her money, all the proceeds from her talks to me. And very slowly I made the £3,000 that I needed to get my own chair. I got measured up in an IKEA car park by Ian and Tanny with one of the little paper tape measure things, because we were that prepared. And Tanny getting pulled away to sign autographs and have pictures, so it was a bit of a nightmare. So I got my first chair, and they entered me into my first races. I think in my first year of racing, I raced 3 times. I did 3 races. So I did one kind of practice race. I raced one of my school races, and then I went back to the UK School Games. And this time, I was racing against girls, and I still race against them now. Girls that I'd been racing for about 3 or 4 years. And I was petrified. I'd seen these girls at the UK School Games. They were fast. But I won them. I beat them. And it was an incredible feeling, and I fell in love with that kind of feeling of glory, knowing that everything on that line, everything on that track that I had done it. No one else, I couldn't thank anyone else, I couldn't blame anyone else if anything had gone wrong. It was all down to me. Whereas in basketball, we could be like, yeah, I won. And actually, I didn't even do anything, I just sat on the bench. So there was no kind of euphoric feeling there, but sat on a podium receiving your first medal is something that you just can't explain it. You feel so proud of yourself, and you know that everyone around you is proud as well. So after that race, 3 races later, I got selected for Team GB off the back of a very disappointing performance in Beijing. The Great Britain Paralympic Athletics team won 1 gold medal in Beijing, and so they pretty much decided that they needed a whole new team, which I agree with because they brought me in. So I'll always remember my first day on the team as well. As a team, we have kind of monthly meetings where the whole team gets together and we get taught about nutrition and psychology and training schedules and all sorts of stuff that I should know, but I start blanking it out now because we've been told the same thing so many times that it just drives me crazy. But I met the whole team that day, and I can honestly say that was another moment when I didn't want to carry on. So many people have it in their heads that, oh, you know, when you're on a team, everybody loves each other, it's amazing. And if I'm totally honest, the one guy that I knew on the team told everyone he didn't know me. And so I was sat in that room completely on my own. And they were quite an old team at the time. So I was 16 at this point, and the youngest in the room, aside from a couple of girls, the youngest was probably about 25. So I was a bit out. And they basically decided they didn't know me, so they weren't going to talk to me. Which, you know, sat in a room full of strangers, I really wish my mum and dad was there. So I sat on my own for an entire weekend, feeling a little bit lonely and sorry for myself. I really wanted to get home. And then one person plucked up the courage. She's the youngest girl, or was the youngest girl on the team. She's now one of my best friends. So a girl called Holly Arnold came, and she saw I was still sat on my own, and she was like, "Do you want my jelly?" Because obviously she wasn't allowed it, but I could eat what I wanted at that point. So that was how our friendship began. And Holly, she'd just been to Beijing at 14 years old, which is a pretty massive achievement in itself. But she was the most friendliest person on the team. And now I know how that feels for no one to come and talk to you. I always make sure I go and talk to the new people on the team because I know how scary it is in that room. When you walk in, and I walked in and I was like, oh my God, Dave Weir and Shelley Woods are in this room. And kind of earlier that year, I'd been asking for their autograph and getting pictures with them, and I was now at the same level as them on Team GB. It was insane. And I raced with Team GB for 3 years before I got a kit top, before I got another medal, before I got anything. And it was driving me mad. I really, really wanted some kit because it looks cool. I'm sick of it now because I have so much of it, I don't know where to put it. But I raced for 3 years before I got anything. And then I got a call up to my first international competition. And so in 2011, I got sent to New Zealand for a month to compete in the IPC World Championships. Yeah, that's the one. I was sent for experience for Rio, so that when I get sent to Rio, I'd know what was going on, I wouldn't be scared, and so that I could kind of get used to who I was going to be racing against. I'd never done an international event, so I'd never really known, you know, that people who can't speak English on the start line. So I went there and I absolutely loved every second of it. By then I'd made some friends, we were a lot younger of a team, and it was basically like a big holiday with my friends. I just had to train in between. It was amazing. And I shockingly came out with 2 gold medals, even though my chair was held together by duct tape because it had been broken on the plane and it was so old. And just no one expected it of me. And I guess that's kind of where things started moving for me, and I realised, okay, I'm fairly good at this. I've just made my senior debut and I've done what the majority of seniors on this team haven't done. So I was 18 years old at that point, and kind of the month following New Zealand, I got sent on my junior debut. I don't know how they worked that one out, but I did it that way round, but it worked for me. And I came back triple junior world champion. So that was really exciting, and I think that really made them realise that I was quite talented at what I did. And that was when they decided that they wanted me for London 2012. So it gave me less than a year to prepare for the biggest thing of my life, which is kind of a bit scary. I was still thinking, oh, Rio's 5 years away, I'm fine, I've got time. I didn't have time. So then they really started fast tracking me. I got a new coach, I was then under the guidance of Peter Erickson, who is just a phenomenal guy. Peter coached some of the most amazingly talented Paralympians in the world. One of his athletes, Chantal Petitclerc, is the most decorated female Paralympian ever. She won 16 Paralympic gold medals in her career. So when Peter asked if he could coach me, I was a bit like, yeah, of course you can. So under Peter's guidance, he then took me to London. And I guess the first thing for London is you can be offered a place, but you have to prove that you can take that place. So the way that they choose how you do that is you get this list of kind of times and positions So for me to get in, I had to be top 8 in the world, and I had to push 21 seconds. I had already gone way under that, so I was fine. And we went to London, and I think the thing about London, I look back on it now, and I'd do it every day if I could.
Under 21 seconds for what?
21 seconds for the 100 metres. Yeah, and then there was all sorts of different times for the different events. But for London, I only had a 100 and a 200 metres, so it sucked a little bit. But there you go. But by that point, I was holding the world record as well. At that point, I'd broken, let me think. I'd broken 15 world records at that point, so I was doing alright. So I knew I was going to get selected, and I really needed to work out how I was going to cope with going to the biggest games there's ever going to be, basically. And I kind of thought, oh, when I go on home in camp, I'm going to be so nervous, I'm just going to be crying every day. And the nerves never came, and then we flew into London, and I was like, the day I fly to London, I'm going to be so nervous. Okay, I did get nervous. And it got to the night before my race, and I really wasn't nervous. So I was nervous about the fact that I wasn't nervous about racing. And my friends were like, I really wish I felt the same as you. And I was like, it's not a good feeling. I don't know why I'm not scared about the biggest thing that's going to happen to me. And I think the only point I got nervous was on the warm-up track, which was about kind of 0.3 miles away from the stadium. You heard the biggest roar ever, and I was like, oh my god, I'm going to be sat in front of that in like 10 minutes, that's scary. Okay, that was when I got nervous. It was just an amazing place to kind of be and actually be one of the normalest people there, which I'm not used to. And, you know, everyone was just so friendly, and there was so much food in the canteen, it was incredible. But, you know, we went there, and I was on a strict diet, and I had to sleep certain amounts of hours, and I had to train at certain times. I had to do all sorts of things. So it was pretty structured when you got into the village. And my race was on the first day of athletics, and I was pretty much GB's second chance at a gold medal. So Alice Davis that morning had won bronze medal in the shot put. And then I went out on the track. I'd done my heat in the morning and my final at night, which not many people did. And I don't know why they put it like that for me. Maybe to make it harder, I don't know. But they did, and I was actually quite nice to do it that way, because it got it out of the way quicker. So I went out in the morning, and I was a little bit nervous. You know, I'd heard this roar on the warm-up track. I was a little bit like, is it going to be loud when I'm out there? Luckily, my best friend also races in the same races as me. So she went out before me and raced in the first heat, and I heard them say her name and this massive roar, and I was like, okay, right, prepare myself. And I got out there, and they said I did, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm sure the one from Mel was louder, like, what is that? So I just went and I raced, and I won the heat. And so I was a little bit, you know, a little bit cocky going into the final. I was like, yeah, this is easy, I've got this. And I did have it, obviously, because I won the gold. And then for the 200 metres was a week later, and it was so difficult staying focused for a week because I had this shiny gold medal, and it was the first one, and everyone was so excited about it. And I remember going, we had like a room we could go and meet our families in, and we could literally see them for about an hour after you'd race. So I went and I saw my family, and I remember it so vividly because my brothers are proud of me, but they never show it, you know, the way boys do, and they're just not bothered. But I went into this room, and literally my brothers, they like looked up and they just ran at me, and they hugged me so hard I fell backwards out my chair. And I was like, yeah, cool. And then I kind of, you know, I sat back up, and my brothers had already nicked my medal and were running around with it somewhere. And my older brother came to me, and he was 22 at the time, so he knew better. But I don't know if anyone saw it, but on the podium, I licked the medal, because a lot of people were like, bite it, so I licked it. And my brother came up to me and he was like, Hannah, which side did you lick? So I pointed, and he turned it over and he licked all the other side. I was like, that's me and Josh, don't do that. And my mum was obviously in floods of tears. And my dad came over and he was like, oh, well done. And then he goes, right, I've got to go now, I've got loads of media interviews to do. And I was like, yeah, nice to see you too, Dad. I haven't seen you in about a month and I've just won a gold medal, but that's fine. But it was really nice to see him, and obviously I had to stay focused and go back to the village and concentrate on the next race. So I went into my next heat, the 200 metre heat, a week later, and it became known as Thrill Thursday that week later. And I'm not even going to lie, I was in the slow heat, so I was super confident. I kind of pushed the 50 metres and then cruised the rest of it. And my coach could see that I'd done that, and he wasn't happy with me. And he rang me up after it, and because he was the head coach of the whole team, so he had to be kind of everywhere at everyone's races, and so I didn't get a lot of chance to see him. And he rang me up and he said, "I don't want to scare you," that's a lie, "but I don't think you're going to win tonight." And my coach has never said anything like that. He's always said kind of like, "Oh, you're amazing, you're going to win this, you know you can do it." So when he said that, he put the fear of God into me. I was like, okay, if Peter thinks I can't win this, I can't win this. And I remember sitting on my bed, all my friends were competing on the same day, all the girls in my house. So I was like, oh no, I can't win this. I was ringing my dad like, "Dad, I'm going to lose, what am I going to do?" And the only thing I could do, because there were no friends to talk to, they'd all gone out to the track, the only thing I could do, we had this, it was called the P&G salon in the middle of the village. And they did all your hair and your makeup and your nails for free. It was amazing. And the only thing I could do was go there, and I was like, I'd made friends with one of the beauty therapists, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna lose, help me." And so she sat me in this chair, and I just sat there, and she started playing with my hair, and that was how like the red, white, and blue plaque that I raced in got created. Because I literally sat there, and I was like, "I need my hair plaiting for tonight," and she did it. And then she started like painting my hair. I got a little bit worried and she was like, "It's alright, it's only face paint." Put your face paint in my hair, weirdo. But that was literally the only way she could like calm me down and get me out of my own head, so I could get back into the right frame of mind. So that was created. I went back, everyone was like, "You can't race looking like that." And I was like, "Watch me." And I went back and I did my normal warm-up. I ate my Weetabix that I ate before every race. I have no idea why I ate Weetabix. Just the only thing I could stomach before a race, the entire games. And I haven't eaten them since, and I didn't eat them before, so it was strange. And I got out on the track, and I was really nervous for this one. Again, the cheer was louder for Mel. I was not impressed. But you know, it was my last final, and I was really, really determined to enjoy it. And I just came through and I won it, and I don't know how I did it. I just pushed. I honestly just pushed. And Peter went on the end. He was like, "You do know I was joking, don't you?" And I was like, "I hate you so much." I was so scared. But I think the one thing that everyone kind of wants to know about when I raced was how it felt when I crossed the finish line and I knew I'd won. And it's a really, really bad answer, but the honest answer is I felt completely numb. For my first race, my actual dreams had just come true in 18.02 seconds. So I'd gone from being a little bit nervous with that noise of things to absolute pure elation in a very, very short frame of time. And that's quite a lot to kind of try and get your head around. Good. For the second race, I knew that my best friend would be crossing the line shortly after me, and that gave me a little more confidence to just go and enjoy it. I think when it's 80,000 people screaming at you individually, it's a little bit like, oh wow, that is overwhelming. But with Mel, it felt a little bit comfier that they were screaming at two of us. It sounds silly, 80,000 people versus 2 people, it's not going to win. But I just remember trying to find my family. I mean, before I'd gone to the games, the one thing I'd said to my family was, "I don't want you sitting near the front, I want you sat as far away from me as possible, I don't want to see you, you know, you'll scare me." And at the minute I crossed the finish line, I really wish I'd told my mum to sit where she'd been given seats right at the front, because I really wanted to see her and show what I'd just done. And so I was desperately looking in the audience for anyone that I knew, and the only person I could find was a lady called YiChen. Hayley was Johnny Peacock's coach, but she also coached me a little bit at the same time as Peter. So I went and gave her a hug, but it's not the same as your mum. And I watched the videos back now, and sat directly next to Hayley is my godmother, and she's waving a flag in my face, a massive flag. It says "Go Hannah," it's a Yorkshire flag. She's waving in my face, screaming at me, and I'm completely ignoring her. And I feel so bad. My godmother was the one that resuscitated me when I died when I was a baby. So it must have been incredible for her to see, you know, if she hadn't saved my life, I would never have been on that track. And now I look at our video and I regret it so much. I wish I'd just turned my head a millimetre to the left and I would have seen her. And then I could have actually hugged someone who'd been involved with the whole process of my life. But you know, you can't live with regrets, and it was the most incredible moment. But I also remember like pushing along, and everyone wanting to like shake Mel's hand. I was like, yeah, alright guys, it's fine, it's okay, I don't care. And then sat on the podium, you're leading 80,000 people in the national anthem. I mean, that's just amazing in itself. And I remember I came off, and Peter said to me, I was like, were you crying on that podium? And he's like, assistant head coach, Paula, she goes, no, she was singing. Because I always went to choir as a kid. So I was singing professionally up there, and they were all laughing at me, because some people thought I was crying, I wasn't, I was singing. I didn't cry at all on that podium. And then obviously I went out after I got my medal, got drug tested, and it was called Thriller Thursday that night because there were 2 other gold medals won. So I won, and then Dave Weir won his 3rd gold, I think, and then Johnny Peacock won the prestigious 100-metre men's event. I really wanted to get back in the stadium to see Dave win, and so I managed to get back, get out my chair, warm down, do all that stuff. I came back just as Dave's race was starting. They wouldn't let me in the stadium because they didn't have my accreditation. I had a gold medal around my neck. I'm pretty sure I'm allowed in the stadium, but they would not, for the life in them, let me in. But I managed to like ring a member of staff and the team, and they got me in after a lot of arguing, and I saw the end of Dave's race. Then I was there for Johnny's race, and I have to admit I was really, really jealous of the kind of reception that Johnny got. Obviously, because it's the biggest race, you know, whatever. I don't know why it's the biggest race, because mine was better. But the whole stadium chanting Peacock was, it sent tingles down my spine, so I don't know how he raced with that. Because at the start, I really thought they were chanting Leaper, which was another guy on the line with him, and I was like, why is a British crowd cheering for an American? And then my friend was like, will you listen properly? I was like, well, my ears are damaged, it's loud out there. And it was just amazing that he had to kind of quieten a crowd, and then to win it the way he did was amazing. Just, I think that evening went down as history as the one that kind of changed Paralympic history, that made it exciting for people to watch. And it was amazing to be involved with that. And I think, you know, during the whole games, I'd been banned from, so the kind of Olympic village was right next to the Westfield Centre in London. The Westfield Centre is incredible, and there's got so many shops. And we had discount in it, and I'd been banned from it for the entire game. I was gutted. But after I'd done my races, they lifted my ban. So I was straight there the next day to use my discount. And I went out with Johnny Peacock to the shops because he'd been banned as well. So me and Johnny, I'd done a photo shoot that morning, so I was wearing a dress and makeup, and I didn't really look like I did in the chair. And Johnny covered his leg up and stuff, so it was alright. I was like, you know what, we're not going to get recognised, we'll be fine, we can just go out, we can just shop. And we went in 3 shops in 4 hours. We got stopped that often with photographs and autographs and so many things, and it ended up, like, we got told we should go with a bodyguard, and I was like, that's stupid, I'm not doing that. And I ended up ringing my bodyguard to come and pick us up because I was just a little overwhelmed at the amount of people that were stopping us and getting excited that we were there. But it was just surreal for us because we've been living in this bubble, and it really was a bubble. In the village we had no newspapers, no magazines, we had TVs but you had no time to watch them. We had internet but we were all banned from social networking. And so we literally were in this bubble where we didn't really know what anyone was saying about us, and we didn't really care. So to go out there then and realise, wow, this many people have watched what we've done and realised and seen it as an achievement, was a little bit overwhelming, and at the same time a little bit scary. I was like, I just want people to leave me alone. And you know what? I learned that I should have got a free Amiga watch. I never got it because I couldn't get in the shop because people kept not impressed. I missed out on so many freebies there. I was gutted. And then obviously I came home from London. We had the closing ceremony, which was incredible because we had Coldplay, Rihanna, and Jay-Z. And that was so much better than the Olympic closing ceremony. And it was just an amazing, amazing night. And I came home, I had 2 civic receptions, I had 2 gold post boxes, I had 2 stamps, I had 2 of everything. And it was really strange. I got home at about 1 o'clock in the morning. My whole street had had a party, but because I got back so late, I'd missed the party for my homecoming. But they decorated the whole street in gold bunting and had this big banner above my drive that said Hannah and Sally win gold. So Sally's my race chair. I always name my chairs. I only got this one yesterday, so I haven't named it yet, but it's coming, don't worry, I'm thinking of one. And it was just incredible that they were that excited about what I'd done. And I think the only time I cried during the entire process of the Paralympic Games was when I went to my homecoming in Halifax, my hometown, because we have a place called the Peace Hall, and it is the most deserted place in the world. There's no one there ever. And I got on the stage that day, and if there were 2,000 people, there were probably more in that audience welcoming me home. And they had all of my old choir on stage singing when I got back, the national anthem. They had my head teacher. See, I'm starting to cry now when I think about it. They had the PE teacher that had introduced me to sport. They had everyone that had ever been involved with anything really on that stage, and it was like, wow. They're all really excited that I've come back and I've done this. And you know, it's my dream, but it was all of these people's dream as well that I was going to do it. And that was the only time that I was like, oh, I've done well, that was really impressive. And then, you know, my life completely changed. I kind of hoped that I'd come home and everything would kind of be like crazy for a few weeks, and then I'd have time just to sleep it off. And I just didn't. There were people knocking on my door to see the medals, people having pictures with my car, people having pictures outside my house, people stopping my mum and dad for pictures. Just the craziest things. There was always a journalist on the phone wanting to know what's next, what are you doing, this, that. And I got to do things that people my age could only dream of. I did a photo shoot with Marie Claire magazine. I went on 8 out of 10 Cats. I went on Big Fat of the Year. I did BBC Mastermind. I can't remember. I went to the National Television Awards. I went to Pride Britain. I went to the Sports Personality of the Year. I met McFly 5 times, which is the biggest one for me. I've been to the Palace 5 times since the Games. And, you know, incredible things that my friends are all like, I hate you. But it's completely changed my life. And then obviously at the beginning of this year I got an MBE, which was an absolute massive honour to be lined up. You don't know what an MBE is. The MBE is it's a member of the British Empire. It's an award given by the Queen. So you can, you know, it goes MBE, it goes up, CB, MBE, OB, I think, and then you get like Lady and Lord, and then Sir and things like that. So I'm working my way up to Lady because I think Lady Hannah sounds pretty cool. So I got an MBE, met the Queen. She's really cute, and the palace is amazing. And it was just phenomenal that I was doing all these different things that at 21 I really should be doing. So for all that, I kind of put university off a little bit and then decided I'd come. And now, this year, I've retained my double world champion title again against the same lineup as I did in London. It was the same girls, so it was a pretty proud moment for me. Now they've announced that they've changed my event, so I'll now have to race the 100 and 800 metres, and which is going to be a bit of a challenge. Set myself a few challenges this year. Obviously coming to university B1, going on Strictly Jump Dancing B2, and then 800 metres has completely changed my training. So at the moment I'm training, I'm pushing about 10 miles a day in my race chair. So I'm doing some serious mileage for a sprinter. And I'm aiming myself for the European Championships next year. The European Champions are one title that I don't yet hold. Simply because they've never selected me to go to the competition. I have no idea why. You'd think if I can become Paralympic champion, I can become European champion. But, so hopefully I can get there next year. It's in August in Swansea if anyone wants to come and watch. But I'll be racing my first 800 metres there, which will be interesting, I guess. So after that, obviously, I'd love to graduate from uni one day. We've got Rio 2016, we've got World Championships in 2015 in Doha, we've got London World Championships back in 2017, so we're going to try and fill the stadium again. So we literally have everything to kind of go for, and everyone's kind of like, well, you've achieved what you wanted, so why are you carrying on? And basically, my idea is I could possibly come with the best Paralympian in the world if I carry on going. I'm only 21, so I'm young-ish. So if I carry on going, I can kind of rack these things up, and you know what, it's just so much fun that I don't want to give it up, not yet. Not until my body starts saying I have to. And I'm getting so many amazing opportunities off it. If I can meet McFly a few more times, then I'll be happy, or like. So yeah, that's about it, that's me, that's what I've done. And